Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jeff with Gamestork, and will Sony end up copying Nintendo with the Nintendo Switch?
Gamestork, delivering news, reviews, and playthroughs like a newborn baby.
So looking at old news today, back in 2015, there was a patent filed for a handheld device from Sony that looks really a lot like the concept behind the Nintendo Switch. Now, the innards aren't talked about, the power, the chip, anything like that. But this thing, as of now, is rumored to be called Project PSP3. And a lot of people believe that this is the console that's going to show itself at E3 this year instead of the PlayStation 5, unless this is indeed the PlayStation 5. Now, we asked ourselves, I know a lot of people out there, including me, we recognize the fact that other companies have copied Nintendo since the dawn of time. Okay, just instances. Nintendo brought in the Rumble packs for the N64, and they're responsible for that being on the gaming scene. Motion, even the Virtual Boy was the beginning, even though it wasn't good. Okay, I'm not saying the Virtual Boy was good, but it brought the concept onto the market. And yeah, motion controls, and now the console on the go. Now, I don't think that Sony necessarily copied them with this patent. However, I think that if they are working on this, that the Nintendo Switch's functionality and also its success in sales will influence what they put inside the device to make it console level. Now, here's the deal. I'm not upset about this in the least, and let me tell you why. Say everyone goes out and everyone copies the Nintendo Switch. Well, eventually it's probably going to happen if the Nintendo Switch is successful, which it is so far. But from a company's perspective, that causes competition, and competition always makes better things. It makes better games, better hardware, better IPs, and so more consoles competing, well, that's better. However, there are a couple things here that might muddy the water as far as why I think Sony may not jump into this immediately. Not saying that they won't at all. However, right offhand, I think back to the Vita. And when the Vita came out, I remember how excited I was leading up to it, and that I pre-ordered it. I waited in line to pick this thing up. I was really, really stoked. I remember the magic of taking it out of the box, and I said, finally, console games on the go. Finally, powerful games on the go. Finally, games that you would only ever see on the TV on the go, and the Vita just didn't deliver on that. It didn't deliver at all, and it did have console-esque games. Once you played the initial games, which were Uncharted and Gravity Rush, then this thing really didn't have a whole lot until way later in its life cycle when it became a JRPG machine. But still, I enjoyed the PlayStation Vita. I think it failed because of the lack of titles and the fact that it promised something that it couldn't deliver on. And this is why the Nintendo Switch is so successful right now. The Nintendo Switch is successful because it's delivering on the promises that it's made. When you deliver on the promises, the sales speak for themselves. And so far, so good for the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo is also extremely serious about titles. They are out to prove something right now, and I think they're going to. With ARMS, Splatoon 2 coming this month, Mario Odyssey coming, on Christmas, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is going to blow everyone away. It's just going to be the surprise hit of the year. Xenoblade Chronicles 1 was absolutely fantastic, and that's really kind of an understatement for how good that game really was. So yeah, I think that Sony is keeping an eye out. I think that Microsoft, honestly, is even keeping an eye out. And I think that at this vital point in our industry where we've finally seen this new tech and this new way to play, this new way to take console games wherever we want and go where we want and play how we want, I believe that all three of the companies will eventually try their hand at this. And considering Sony does already have a patent back from 2015, which is after the initial cycle of development that Nintendo had. So who's to say they didn't see what Nintendo had before we saw what Nintendo had, and they just did that? I don't believe that, but that's a possibility. By the way, guys, you have to excuse me because I'm obviously under the weather, but still trucking along. So I think that it's very, very possible. And as a consumer, as a Nintendo fan or a Sony fan or anything like that, don't find yourself angry at things like this, but just be thankful, because if PlayStation brings a console that can play, even if it's just this generation's games, not even anything more, but just the PlayStation 4 level power, which would be extremely expensive. Let's be honest, you're not going to touch that thing for $300. You might be looking at $400 to $500, maybe closer to $500, to be able to get all the internal components that small to be able to fit inside of this device. So that's the first thing you need to know, is that this will be expensive if it's going to be on par with the PS4, which the Switch is almost on par with the PS4. But it's also that being able to take PlayStation games with you on the go, as we have been doing with Nintendo games, all that happens is the consumer wins. The consumer wins. And you remember how secret Nintendo was about this, which is why they're always secret, because everyone copies their innovation. And, they said, we don't want anyone to steal this. We don't want anyone to, start doing R&D on this, or start, start getting this thing done and copy our idea. So they were very, very secretive in the beginning, which makes sense. Why? Because it's groundbreaking. It really is groundbreaking. People can say, oh, well, the NVIDIA Shield or this or that, this has been done, but nothing has delivered on the promise of full console games, and nothing has done it the way that the Nintendo Switch has. And by mobile standards and by handheld standards, the Nintendo Switch is a beast. And that's just all you can say. Like, there are people that comment on every video hating and talking about how bad it is and all this. But as far as handheld standards, there's nothing that is that size or handheld or portable that can even come close to what this thing does. So having Sony being interested or possibly interested in bringing a handheld to the market that competes with this should be extremely exciting for us, and it's my hope that you would also be excited. Do I think it's going to happen right now? No, I really don't. I think that Sony is going to focus, due to the failure of the Vita, I believe that they're going to focus on their large install base for the PS4, continue on with the PS4 Pro, and maybe there will even be another iteration, which is what this new PlayStation is. But I really honestly do not see them just coming out this E3 this soon and saying, hey, we got this handheld device that is essentially the Switch, and but it's better, which is what they try to do forever. The thing about it, though, is that regardless of what they make, they won't have Mario, they won't have Zelda on there. They're not going to, have Xenoblade Chronicles 2. They're not going to have ARMS. They're not going to have all those games that have the character that Nintendo has. And, we talk about characters and having console first-party characters that just represent the console, represent the system. Sony has never really had that. Let's be honest. They've had Crash Bandicoot and Lara Croft, and now they have Nathan Drake and the girl. Oh my goodness, the girl from the new game that has eluded me right now, which you guys are probably saying in the comments. Thank you. But none of them. Say you put together a fighting game like Super Smash Brothers, which they already tried. Remember, PlayStation All Stars or whatever it was called, and it just wasn't good because you didn't love who you were playing with. It was just empty, and so they don't have what Nintendo has in order to drive with first-party sales. Now, I love Sony, and if they do this, of course, yes, I'm going to purchase this console, and not only will I purchase it, but, man, I will play the snot out of it, and I'll make 2 places in my bag for the Switch and the, Sony PSP3 or whatever it is, and I'll be glad. So either way, essentially, we're looking at the possibility of these guys bringing a handheld console, and I'm not even going to go into the rumors because they're all rumors that are so far out there, they're not grounded at all. So I'm just talking about the concept in general instead of rumors specific, because to be honest with you, I don't really trust a lot of these rumors, so we're just going to leave it there. But it's just one of those things that if they do this, we win. If they don't do this, well, we still win because we have the Switch. But if Sony does take this step and take the leap into the handheld market, we as consumers win, and that's the important thing. So if you're a Nintendo fanboy out there and you love Nintendo like me, don't get mad. Don't get upset about it. just be happy that there's competition that'll help Nintendo be better, and that there's another console that you can carry with you. And same thing for Sony. I see a lot of people who are just all about that one console, and they're angry at anything else anybody else does. All three companies, as consumers, we need to root for all three, the big three, which is Xbox, Sony, and Nintendo. We need to root for them to be successful, because when they're successful, we get to play awesome games on awesome hardware in awesome ways, right? So, yeah. Anyway, so that's all I have on this topic. I just wanted to get on here and talk a little bit today, even though I'm feeling under the weather, about what I thought about the possible PSP3 or whatever this is. Let me know in the comments how you feel about it. If you think this is real, if you think they're going to follow up on this patent. And just because there is a patent doesn't mean that they're going to do anything with it. There are thousands and thousands of patents filed that nothing ever happens with. They're just lost, and they're filed just in case they decide to do it. So this might not even really be a thing, and we need to just accept that, be realistic about it. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. I certainly appreciate you. If you like what you're hearing, please like and subscribe below, and as always, I'll see you next time.